Hey everybody, it is November 27th, 2017. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast, and we're talking Monday Night Raw, November 27th. Mr. Matt Morgan with us once again, Justin LaBar from Chair Shot Reality. Guys, how's it going?
Good. What's up, buddy?
What a day. Prince Harry's getting engaged to an American actress, and Matt Morgan and Justin LaBar are both on the same podcast. What a day. Headlines.
It's bound to happen. So tonight, man, Monday Night Raw. It is a long way till their next pay-per-view. A long way. What did you think, Matt, of that opening segment with Roman, the Miz Taraj hooking up with Elias?
I'm torn because Roman, I mean, obviously everyone's always looking to see if he's going to get, the babyface reaction, right? Has he turned them finally? And that kind of thing. He's got to get out of his own way. He keeps doing his whole cocky shit. Excuse my language, and it does not work. It's what gets him booed, and it's okay to be confident. It's okay to talk about being the big dog. That's all good. But just how he talks, his delivery, a lot of the time is very arrogant. And when you have people booing you, and your goal is to get out there and get them to cheer you, because that is what that is. Let's be very clear about that. There is none of this, as long as he gets a reaction, he's putting asses in seats, that's all that matters. That's their BS answer they give when their baby faces like him and Cena get booed, and they don't like it. So let's be clear about that. They'd rather him be cheered. And they were coming along with him tonight. They were. And then he got in his own way a little bit during his promo. Anytime he attaches himself to this Shield, he's guaranteed to react a good pop. So they're throwing out all the stops to make this guy be liked. But that's what I kept paying attention to. And then, that's really it. There's nothing else really noteworthy about that.
Yeah. Justin, what do you think about having him do these open challenges and kicking that off with Elias tonight?
Well, some to what Matt said, he does present his own problems with the cadence and how he speaks, with the arrogance. On the flip side, though, when we've seen him, not recently, but in past times, try to do the more heroic babyface stuff, and whether it was just written really poorly for him, that comes off flat too. So it's almost like the cockiness maybe feels a little more natural to him, because he is a big, he is a guy who, he's bigger than most. He is tougher than most. But as Matt said, it completely contradicts what he's out there trying to do, which is to be the rallied babyface. Which eventually later on in the show, before the match, big credit to Elias, they actually had the arena full of people, at least most of them chanting for Roman. So, but I give that credit to Elias and the heel. But I agree with what Matt said. There's a contradiction in how Roman gives off his promos and what they want, and then when Dean Ambrose is off on honeymoon, as it reminded us 7 times, and Seth Rollins with them, it makes it even tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy tonight. That led to the first match of the evening. So Dean Ambrose off on his honeymoon with Renee Young. Sheamus on his sabbatical to Ireland. So therefore we have Seth Rollins and Cesaro setting up the singles match, setting up a tag title defense for next week. Matt, do you think is this feud had you very invested, or is it just a display of great workers in the ring?
Yes, B. Choice B. Yeah. Obviously the Shield are going to win the titles, and all 3 of them will have their little title belts, and it'll make great for photo ops. But again, I don't care what anybody says. It's still a fall. It's still a fall from grace. Seth Rollins, I don't know what it is. He's one of my favorite acts to watch. Him and Kevin Owens. They're probably out of my top 3 favorite guys to watch, both on the mic, more for KO, and once the bell sounds, Seth Rollins all day. I love watching him work, along with AJ. But he's a main event act. You know what I mean? I just feel like this is all beneath them. To a degree, but you know what? Maybe it'll mean more once they come back up to the main event again. I know that's usually what happens when they put people in a holding pattern. I remember, not that this is anywhere near the same thing, but not even close. But I remember with TNA, I had just been working Kurt Angle for like 7 months. It was a really cool storyline. It was finally time to get me to the finish line, make me a world champion kind of guy. And they dropped the ball and then get me to the finish line. Not Kurt's fault, but Ryder's fault. All right, Vince Russo. But I'll digress. And the holding pattern for me was the tag division with Shawn Hernandez as tag team champions. And I remember going no one's going to see that as like some like a step up. They're going to see that as, we don't know what to do with Matt Morgan, so this is the next best thing. And that's kind of what I feel like they're doing with these guys. You know what I mean? either have the Shield come out and be the Shield or don't. You know what I mean? I want to see them run roughshod over everybody and do what they normally do. I don't want to see them in tag team crap and all that other stuff. And if it is tag team, 6-man tags. You know, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what does it say, Justin? What do you think it says when they put the belts on Cesaro and Sheamus and then they're getting defeated in these singles matches? I mean, is it just telegraphing, as Matt said, that the Shield's going to be back on top next week with Roman and Dean? Or with, Seth and Dean winning the tag titles back?
Yeah, it's milking out and trying to extend for the big payoff, so to speak. I mean, look, the Seth versus Cesaro match. I mean, two extremely talented guys. I had tweeted during it. I'm real big about guys they put up against Brock Lesnar, and Cesaro is somebody with his. He's not a small guy. He's tall. He's built, very lean. He's a guy I could see positioned. I would like to see positioned up against a Brock Lesnar for a one-off because he has the strength and the agility. These two guys are tremendous workers. But I'm going to be honest. I appreciate the work they did, but I'll be honest. I was actually bored. I was bored. This match was a 3-segment match, which is that's just long. And when I know it means nothing, it's not for who's number one contender. Right. There's no backstory of a grudge. There's no tight. I mean, I was after a while. It's like how much great athleticism can I see? How much great work rate can I see? But I was just kind of bored. I mean, I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, but I was just bored.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's been our number one criticism of the tag division is they run these matches into the ground and the athleticism, the ring work, unparalleled. Oh, my God, what a time to live in that we're spoiled with such great workers. But if you don't put a story behind it and get us invested, it doesn't have as much meaning. You know
what the irony is? The irony here is that a bulk of fans will complain, and I'm there with them, that Raw is too long. Okay, 3 hours is too long, right? But ironically, the same ilk of fans that would be the most unhappy with the long format of 3 hours, it's their favorites, the guys who have the high work rate, the guys that can work 30 minutes and not think anything of it, that are benefiting from this long Raw, because Raw needs these guys to go out and fill this time. It's no longer the days of 4-minute TV matches. Now it's go out there and do 20, 25 minutes. We're going to cut to 2 commercial breaks, have a stop point on each break. I mean, that's the ironic thing here is that we're getting the great show of this work rate. But what does it mean if there's nothing behind it?
We'll get that once we'll get that maybe once a show, maybe twice a show. Like you said, Rollins and Cesaro. Like I like the work actually. I like the psychology of the match. Cesaro put on some crazy feats of strength, catching Homeboy in a tilt-a-whirl slam off the top.
That was great.
Crap. I can't begin to tell you how much strength that requires. I would have torn my bicep doing that. But I could bench press 600 pounds. That's how crazy strong Cesaro is. But like they'll put that on, like what you're saying, Justin. Like they'll do that kind of match. Like I know what you're talking about. Like the high work rate, longer match, and it's benefiting those guys, the Rollins, the AJs, the Owens, the Sami Zayns of the world. Yes, that we all want to see wrestle these long matches because they're so damn good. But they're only doing them like once or twice a show. What I get annoyed with out of 3 hours is like, I don't know, New Day backstage playing with himself for like 5 minutes. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the annoying crap. I'll take, you know what? Many wrestlers don't think this way or say this. They like the deep psychology, deeper storylines, and I do too. But we're not going to get them. So, you know what? I'll take the next best thing, which is a high work rated match. As markish as that sounds, I do. I like watching the high athleticism matches because I myself couldn't do it. So I'm super entertained by a lot of these guys, especially when they get some time in there. You know what I mean? Like anything with AJ in it. Like, good Lord, I'll watch an hour of that. Do you know what I mean? And I just wish that they did that with the 3 hours. You'll definitely lose those casual fans, no question, because they do want to see the grab ass stuff backstage. They do want to see the stuff that I probably find annoying.
You don't want to see more of Bo and Curtis playing harmonica?
God, how horrible was that? My wife goes, is this really on TV? How did this shit make it TV? That's what she said. And she never curses.
Let's look at the historical perspective here. We have a Hennig and we have a Wyndham relative playing music together. It's the West Texas Rednecks come back here 20 years.
Good call, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they weren't playing.
Not this crap.
You don't say. You don't say they weren't playing. Go ahead.
It took me a minute when it started where I was like, and then I was like, no, they've got someone off to the side there.
Jesse James.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So most convoluted thing tonight. Backstage, Kurt Angle with the cruiserweights explaining how this is going to work with the 2 fatal 4-ways. The winner of the matches face off.
I didn't understand it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's going to be 2 fatal 4-ways. One that happened tonight. One next week. Then the next week after, the winners of those matches will face off, and that will be the #1 contender. So much for whoever laid a hand on Enzo 3 weeks ago or a month ago. Not being able to challenge. Love when they just throw continuity out that quickly. But that set up that first fatal 4-way for later in the night. Before that, Samoa Joe versus Titus O'Neil. Samoa Joe looking quite dominant tonight, taking out Titus and Apollo, setting the stage for what would happen later in the night. Matt, how do you think they're booking Samoa Joe?
I was getting annoyed. I was like, he's in the Braun Strowman holding pattern where he's just going to dominate these not nobody. That's rude, but lower level talent, lower on the card talent.
Yeah.
And I'm going, why is Homeboy getting any offense? Like, why, Joe? Why you letting him punch you at all? Like, no, shut that down. Your job's going to get over as a monster. I don't care what they're telling you to do. Just take over. And sure enough, it led somewhere. So, it led to the whole, Roman thing, which I like. I like that a lot.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, Titus's accountant is going to have no shortage of receipts there. I mean, Titus was laying a few in there, and Joe.
Good for him for doing that, by the way. Seriously, that's how the agents backstage will pop for that. They'll see that. Like, his kid wants to work. He wants to get out there. Absolutely.
I mean, Matt, you know this better than obviously between the 3 of us. I mean, it's an alpha male kind of situation. I mean, so Titus going out there and just rolling over, that's not going to do anything. So I mean,
right?
Yeah, they allowed, however, the agent or Joe, whatever, they allowed Titus to get as much offense as he did in. It was hard hitting. Scrolling through social media, I saw a lot of people saying this is the best showing they've ever seen of Titus. I mean, he's a big guy, so
good.
He got a little credibility out of it. Obviously, he lost, which he should in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, it ended up leading to something with Joe. So I thought I think Raw to sum Raw up. We have more to go, but when Raw was on, Raw was on. But when it was down, it was down. I think this was a good bright spot because I got something out of this in that 4 or 5 minutes that I was not expecting to get.
Yeah, I think the payoff later in the night really redeemed this segment and greatly upgraded Samoa Joe's prospects going forward. Oh, and Justin, to your point earlier, I would love to see Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar. I'm just afraid they would book it tonight like Asuka versus Dana Brooke. Just as,
that was awesome.
Now, well, look, and if they decided okay, we need a Rumble match for Brock, a one-off, and they've gone through who they've gone through. Like if they highlighted in the build Cesaro's freakish
easily,
it could work. I mean, I'm sorry, but guys like Finn and what have you just don't get me excited versus Brock just because Brock's the only guy they book with a certain believable sense still, and so I'm very much about size. But Cesaro's 6'4", 6'5", has a strength. He wouldn't win, but you could get through that match and still make him be elevated and make him like, okay, he just, he went, 10 minutes with Brock or whatever they give him. That's a one-off I could buy.
You could pull him out of any scenario, in my opinion, Cesaro, any storyline, no matter how ridiculous, and he's always good for a believable main event. He just is.
The toughest thing though is that is the talking in the building. He's much more of a see to get me into the building than he is a talk. So if you're working Brock, you have the benefit of Heyman who can talk.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And what you do is you do the whole feats of strength shit leading up to it with Cesaro. You just continue to make him do his suplex from outside of the ring into the ring with bigger opponents like Braun Strowman, someone along those lines. You keep building on that. You just keep building upon that. And you actually have Cesaro leave Brock laying. Because Brock is selling his tail off lately, so I'd see him doing that for him before leading into that pay-per-view. Everyone knows Brock ain't going to lose that, but that's not the point. The point is to be entertained by the feat, Cesaro versus him and what kind of hard-hitting match that's going to provide, knowing that Cesaro ain't going to back down, and he's going to lay stuff in, and he's going to be strong as hell doing it. I don't know. I think you could easily steal one with him, yeah.
And there's also a misconception, and Matt, I don't know if you know Brock or but there's a misconception that people are like, oh, like, Brock won't do, but he won't lose. Like, Brock doesn't care. Brock knows how tough he is. Pay him. He's going to go out and do whatever you ask him to do. So
100%. This is the most I've ever seen him sell. Like, honestly, Brock has sounded a lot more than I expected him to be.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Well, they put him up against three great opponents in a row, right? I mean, between Braun, Samoa Joe, and AJ.
But, like, even the stuff with AJ, when it was time for him to sell for him, he sold for him.
Yeah.
Where the Brock that I knew would never have done that. Never. He would have been making AJ hit the ropes 300 times just to get him, like, to drop to a knee with a tackle spot. Like, that's the Brock I remember. When John Cena was supposed to hit him with a tackle in one of our tag matches once, Brock was supposed to bounce, and Brock, like, yelled at him to hit him again, hit the ropes again, like, 2 more times. And that's how I learned to protect my size out of that one match. I'll never forget it. Like, Brock used that as a demonstration for me on how to use big man psychology. And I don't care what's written. I don't care what's being said. You got your first job is to protect your size because that's what makes you commodity. And I don't care who you're in the ring with. If you're bigger than them, they've got to work to chop you down. That was his. I swear to you, he said that before the match, and he did it in the middle of the match on TV. I was like, holy shit! Like, he's over, you know?
Yeah. So we got the first sighting tonight of Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. Supposed to be a match. Supposed to be Paige's first match back against Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Mickie James.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, what do you make of this? Just beating down Bayley and Mickie backstage, and then Sasha getting group ganged up on.
Waiting for her to come back. You know, they're missing a lot of money on the table with her as a babyface, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they had no heels,
mm-hmm.
right? Who they had that's a believable heel, and whatnot. I don't know. I just think they missed the boat making her heel, but nonetheless, she's done a great job with it, and I really want to see badly Paige versus Asuka badly. I don't like the fact that she's got the other 2 chicks with her. They're gonna help. It's gonna help those other 2, no question. They're gonna get the rub out of this. I don't know. Between that stuff and they're doing on SmackDown, the same mirror image. You know what I mean? 3-woman team over there as well. It's just, I don't know. Yeah.
Justin, what you thinking? Are you disappointed that they're called Absolution instead of Team PMS? Someone talked Vince out of that. You know, backstage they were like, Vince, we can't do it, man. Stephanie had to pull him aside and be like, Dad, this is just counterproductive, you know?
PMS sounds familiar. No, yeah, I like the psychology of of seek and destroy and attacking Bayley and Mickie backstage. That's fine. Paige's initial comments are fine. She's back. She's got to reintroduce herself, remind people what her motivations are. The girls are young, so I mean, I don't want to be too hard on them. But yeah, when Mandy and Sonya started talking, things just slow, like it just lagged. And I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was the fans doing the what chants mess with them. It kind of took everything off of a rhythm. But like Matt said, it's weird. I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown live last week because I was traveling. I mean, I saw both of them eventually, but I saw SmackDown before I saw Raw. And so then when I realized that I was like, wait a minute. I was like, there is 2 trios they've just that is weird to me. Like, it's almost like that would have made sense if this happened 4 weeks earlier and we were building the Survivor Series where they do like the bragging rights thing. But the fact that we just come out of the brand war and we're doing the mirrored thing is kind of odd to me. But the only thing I can figure is that I think they're adding depth to the women's division in terms of people we get TV time familiarity with. Because I've said it for over a year. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think they own a women's Royal Rumble, and so even if you do a 20 Rumble, you still need more girls that have TV time familiarity with the fans. You can have a couple of surprises, or nostalgia acts. But I think they are just bulking the depth up for a January Rumble.
Yeah, it seems a logical place. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow on SmackDown. Hopefully not the exact same thing again.
Because if you look prior to these 2 trios introductions, I mean, just taking away Bliss and taking away Charlotte, the 2 title holders who wouldn't be in the Rumble anyways for logic, they only had like 17 girls that are on the main. Now, obviously, even some of them, you're talking the Dana Brooks of the world. So like they needed some more girls to even just fill out 20. If they want to go to 30, you can pull a Trish Stratus, pull some nostalgia acts out. But I think that's what I think they're just padding the roster just for a Rumble.
Yeah.
Is this a definite thing?
They haven't said it or confirmed it. I mean, I've heard for a while they want to do it, and it makes sense. They started the women's Money in the Bank, and they've done more and more.
That's true.
The gimmicks around the women's.
Yeah.
Who do you think comes back? Matt, who's your pick for the nostalgia pick for the Women's Rumble?
Oh, boy. Lisa Marie, for sure. Victoria. If they can get her, Trish, Lita.
Let's not forget Awesome Kong coming off the globe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Karma is going to
That would
reappear.
be great, but are they ready to run with her? Because she's going to get a great reaction and not have her come back full time. You know what I mean?
She doesn't need the WWE at this point. She got that glow money coming in, you know?
I hope so. I hope that's the truth. She's an awesome person. Who else was going to say? You know what would be a good idea is to bring in, I don't know what Velvet Sky's got to do. I don't know what Madison Rain's got to do. Like, why are they getting looks? Especially Madison Rain. She can go.
Yeah. We'll see. It'll be here before we know it. But that's the foregone conclusion online. I don't even think it's a rumor. I just think everybody thinks that's what's happening. It sure as hell makes sense.
The female Rumble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Freeze out here.
So let's talk tonight about the other big development. Matt Hardy got a little more broken. Bray Wyatt came out, gave sort of a to hell with you all promo, beat Matt Hardy, and the Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I mean, he was sort of mouthing delete or doing it off mic, but this was the most showcased, right? I mean, I've seen him do it at live events, but I don't think it's been this overt up front and center with the delete and then the announcers saying looks like he's breaking.
They've touched on it a few times in the beginning, like I want to say like a few months in, but not like this. You're right. It's the most I've heard them talk about as far as the announcers go, but he really does look broken. Matt looks busted. His body looks to his movement. There's something wrong with him. I'm telling you. He's not claiming an injury, and I know he's injured somewhere in his hip or something like that. I could see it every time he hits the ropes, and he even hit a moonsault tonight. I'm like, Matt, what are you doing? You know, he's a tough dude, man. Jeff gets all the credit for being the daredevil and guy who never gets hurt for doing stuff, but like Matt too, man.
Yeah, Matt did. I don't know how many, at least 5 delete motions in a row. Which up until this point he had done 2 at the most, and then he when they would come out, you know, he would do 2 at the most, and that was it. I mean, the bad thing was like,
how do you know that?
I've kept. Well, I
he sits there counting.
Oh no!
I'm not gonna lie. I want to see him do it too, so I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
I swear.
I've kept track for reasons, but yeah, he did a bunch, and it's funny because like half the crowd was with it, half the crowd was doing it, and like the other half of the crowd was like looking like, is Matt Hardy having a shoulder spasm, or what is happening? Tennessee wasn't with it all the way.
Man,
yeah, interesting crowd tonight. In Tennessee.
It was booked like an indie show. You had the local guy Kane selling all the local tickets to. So you got to put them on last so people don't leave early. That was booked like an indie show. You know, I think he has a political after party going on as we speak.
Yeah, no, crazy, man.
Is that really true?
Yeah, he has a thing at I think it's called Calhoun's. He had a thing he's been promoting tonight. It's like a rally based around his politics and then his campaign support.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Justin, you want to take a moment to tell everyone about this week's sponsor?
Absolutely. Of course, we're being brought to you by Stamps.com. And, you know, look, it's Cyber Monday right now. Everything's online. Holidays are coming. Post office is crowded. That's why we encourage you to go to Stamps.com instead. Everything you can do at the post office, you can do right there at the convenience of your desktop on Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package using your own computer and printer. Unlike the post office, Stamps.com never closes, so when you need postage, you can get it 24/7. You can get a 4-week trial, which includes postage and a digital scale. Head over to Stamps.com, click the radio microphone at the top of the page, and type in INC, and you'll get your trial.
Excellent. We thank them for sponsoring the podcast. So tonight, first of the Fatal 4-Ways to help determine, I guess, the 2 contenders that will face off to become the #1 contender for the Cruiserweight title. Man, that's a mouthful. Kira Tozawa versus Noam Dar versus Rich Swann versus Arya Daivari. Matt, are you invested in this, or is it just more of now it's bringing out the dancing dogs?
Dancing dogs, I don't care.
Justin, were you happy to see Rich Swann pick up a win here?
I didn't really care either. For as great as WWE's production is, as we were talking about, this thing's so convoluted. Why couldn't we put up a freaking full screen graphic to show me some kind of bracket of how this is going down? I was trying to keep score at home. I gave up. I went and left the room for a minute. I've said it before. Kudos to Enzo for increasing the 205 Live viewership. He's got all this heat that we hear about, and if he does, it's made people buy into his heel gimmick even more. So whatever. I'll say it again. When you're billing these guys as 205 or less, you're billing them as inferior. When I can watch Kevin Owens or AJ Styles or Cesaro or whoever, Finn Balor, who are billed as main event heavyweights, do the same style as these guys. All I know about 205 Live is that these guys are inferior. That's all. And all I know is that they are potentially the same size as the person in the crowd you're trying to have buy a ticket. So, look, cruiserweights in '96 worked. Kevin Nash wasn't going to do any of this shit. But today in 2017, almost 2018, it's a totally different thing. So I have a hard time getting invested in the 205 Live. And it's not I don't want to knock or take credit away from the guys busting their ass, because it's no fault to them. It's just how they're being labeled.
I'm surprised they didn't bring out Hideo Itami if he's going to 205 Live. That they didn't use this as a chance. I mean, is he debuting tomorrow? Is that the... I
don't know, but Glenn, I'm gonna be honest. So you have the 205 Live show, and then they let him do these. They give him these couple segment cameos, we'll call them, on Raw. I have such a hard time keeping track of who's on. Like, T.J. Perkins wasn't he like the first? I think he was the first champion.
He was the original champion, yeah.
We haven't seen him in 2 months. Like, I can't keep track of who there is. I don't know. And I hate it because it makes me sound like it makes me sound so ungrateful and unintelligent about what these guys put themselves through, and I know they put themselves through, but I just don't buy into it. Not their fault, but the presentation's not there for me.
Yeah. I mean, they give us one, maybe two characters in the entire division to really get to know and care about. They did silly storylines, and most weeks, it's the Dancing Dogs.
You know who the best 205 Live guy was, maybe before Enzo? Was Gentleman Jack Gallagher.
He got over.
The best guy. And you want to know why? You want to know what proved it? Gentleman Jack Gallagher. He was the only cruiserweight that got to go into the Royal Rumble. Now, what frickin' sense does it make for a cruiserweight to be in the Royal Rumble? The winner of the Rumble gets a world title shot. Well, he's 205 Live or less. He can't have a world title shot. But Vince put him. Is
that the rule?
Because he's entertaining. And he had the great great umbrella spot with Jericho. He was entertaining. He's a character. I don't have to see him wrestle. I can watch his entrance and I'm entertained. I can't sit that by the rest of those guys.
Is that really the rule?
Well, you figure in Rumble, like, the winner gets to have a world title shot. And if
you can't, but the cruiserweights, the 205 guys can't wrestle for the world title, ever.
Well, up to now, no, they're only allowed to fight for the 205 Live title because it's a weight class.
I just thought it made them eligible to wrestle for 205 weight class. No, I didn't know that.
Well, they've never. Let me put it this way, Matt. They've never said it, so there is the loophole that they could eventually, like, they could take Enzo back up if they wanted to. But by the way they present it, it makes it sound like a weight class to where if you're 205, you shouldn't be able to compete against Brock Lesnar.
It wouldn't matter anyway. They're booked so inferior anyway. They had something going with Austin Aries and what's his name? Neville. That was pretty great. I love that angle a lot. They put a little Gallagher sprinkled in there as well, if you remember. That was my opinion, the best all around. Not the whole division, but anybody from that division at the time. It was at its highest peak for me as far as interest goes. But I will admit, when Enzo turned heel and went on that show, I started watching and fast forwarded to all his segments only.
Yeah, and it's weird they didn't have him do anything tonight except stand backstage, look on, and shout while he wasn't even mic'd. It's very weird. It's just do something with it or let it die. Like, don't let it die this slow, painful death. I don't think it does anyone any favors. So Elias came out, had the Miz Taraj. There was a song. There was another song. It went on forever.
Mm-hmm.
It was not very good. And it's being kind. Roman Reigns came out, and he and Elias had a match. Matt, did this live up to all you thought it could be?
I told you, I know everyone likes Elias. I don't know.
Does everyone like Elias?
Yes, you and Raj love him.
But like in an anti-way, like if he's an Andy Kaufman bit, that's how I admire Elias. Like, I can't believe he's this committed to doing something that is just painfully bad.
I just hate the guitar gimmick. I don't know why. I don't like it. I've never liked it since Honky Tonk Man. Like, that was the last time. I just don't like it. I don't know. I think it's so dated. And he's done a good job. Don't get me wrong. No, I can't admit it because my wife said exactly what I was thinking. Am I really watching this stuff? Is this bleep really on TV right now? That was the quote. And she's right. I was thinking the same damn thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's heat, but is that the kind of heat you want someone to get as a heel?
I don't know. Just the argument's going to be that the mainstream people clicking through or whatever go stop and laugh at that. And I'm like, no, they're not.
Because everybody loves that one scuzzy-looking dude that just plays guitar and his own original songs. Like, people are going to go, I don't get enough of this shit when I walk downtown or wait for the bus or the subway. I want to see this on the USA Network.
When it's time for him to kick his heat in, by the way, I just want to say this. He's actually good. He's good in the ring. He's much better than I thought he was, he being Elias. When it's time for him to get steam on somebody, he lays his stuff in and he switches gears the right way. Just as a heel, one of the most important things you need to learn is how to switch gears during your heat. 1, 2, the babyface kicks out. Your job is to kick it in the 5th gear right then and there and turn up the heat on your opponent. And he does a very good job at that. His intensity is there. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what my disconnect is with him. I don't know what it is.
What'd you think of the match itself?
It's serviceable. I mean, it did what it is. I don't think Roman Reigns should be wrestling it. Elias, you know what I mean? I would have liked to have seen somebody else, but I don't know.
Well, thank God it's not the feud with that ending, with Samoa Joe coming out.
Yeah.
Justin, what do you think Elias's future is in the WWE?
I mean, I like the momentum he has so far. I mean, and I'll be very honest. I'm super biased. I mean, he's a Pittsburgh guy. You know, he was our world champion here with the company I work with. So I mean, I so like me seeing him put on more muscle, me seeing him getting this time. You know, again, I have that band.
Yeah.
Thing.
Okay, so what was his gimmick then? What was his gimmick before?
Yeah.
So when he was here in Pittsburgh, he wrestled as Logan Shulo, which is a take on his real last name, and he was the heavy metal Jesus. He was babyface, had the hair, had the beard, had a more traditional wrestling tight look. He had the short tights. He didn't have the drifter look. He was had the hair flowing. He had the girls behind him. He could do a little high flying if he needed to. This gimmick is taking. I mean, he is an actual musician. He does like to play guitar. That's a thing of his. So like, but I'm with Matt to the point of I've never been big on guitar gimmicks, from Honky Tonk to Jeff Jarrett to whomever. But I think he's making the most out of it. Like, and again, I have to say tonight, I mean, the fact that he was able to stretch out what he did, get the crowd chanting for Roman, which is not easy to do.
Yeah.
I hope that he evolves, which he has. When he started NXT, he was the drifter.
Oh yeah.
And they've evolved him. And so I hope he eventually evolves away from the whole having to introduce himself and singing and all whatever that like. But for the most part, I mean, I think the guy. Let me put it this way. And I know I've rambled here. So coming from NXT, these guys end up having the studs in NXT have such pressure on them when they get called up because they're over in that small, intimate, repeat crowd environment. And now when you got to put them in front of 10,000 people in a different city every night, it's not always the case. He didn't have that kind of fanfare. He wasn't NXT World Champion. He wasn't dominating NXT. He kind of snuck under the radar when he came to the main roster. And that's the best thing for him. There hasn't been that expectation on him like there has been for some of the other guys.
Yeah. And I want to see him evolve into Al Vagabundo again. That was my favorite one.
So yeah, Roman won that and then attacked by Samoa Joe after. So looks like that's where we're headed. So weird without a pay-per-view coming up. I feel like a lot of this stuff, I mean, are they really...
I don't notice a difference, bro. I don't notice a difference. I'll be honest.
Well, what's the payoff? You know what I mean? Like, I think with the pay-per-view, we know that everything has a 3 to 4 week build.
Okay, we see Joe versus Roman now being set up. We see the tag titles now being set up.
Yeah.
Those are the championships should be the major storyline. Oftentimes they're not, but right here they're letting us know they are, for once, except for Brock. I don't notice a difference. I'll be very honest. How many times do we say with 3 weeks before a pay-per-view, 2 weeks before a pay-per-view, That's always our reaction. About
Yeah.
the whole show as a whole. It's always a C. I want somebody to look up the statistics on this, the fans watching this. How many times have I given this show a C- or a C+? That's what I feel like I say almost every week. I'm not being a douche about it. I'm just being honest. I'm trying to be, little 11-year-old Matt Morgan watching wrestling when I watch this show. Or older adult Matt Morgan watching this show. And I cannot
Too many,
entire... Go ahead.
too many pay-per-views.
Yeah. Well, the average quality, C being average, the average quality now is probably the best that it's been in 20
ring
years.
work, it is, no question. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, short of the time when Matt Morgan was on SmackDown, of course. But since then, definitely a high point. But yeah, I think my question with the longer pay-per-view and the build-up to the Rumble is, does that mean we're not going to get a 3 or 4 week feud cycle? Instead, we're going to have an 8-week drawn-out version of these feuds. You know what I mean? I like something a little more accelerated.
Maybe not. Look what they did with Glenn, with Kane.
Yeah.
They brought him in, and I don't see him coming back from this. I hope he's not coming back from this. I don't know, but that entire thing was to set up, the monster among men, right? To get his retribution, to do his thing at the end. It was annoying that Kane stole a bunch of main events along the way, in my opinion. And I'm the biggest Kane fan on the planet. He's my second favorite wrestler next to Undertaker, as a kid. But he should not be in the main events. And he should not be destroying Finn Balor's. He should not be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know he's bigger. I know it makes sense psychology-wise. It's just, if you're going to go in this direction with the younger talent, then you've got to go all the way in. You cannot 1 week make them look like superheroes, and then the next week make them look like what it really looks like to many of us physically watching a 7-foot man destroy a 5'11" man. I see physically why that makes sense. But you just for weeks and weeks were calling this dude the Demon and all these other things. And he's supposed to be the first Universal Champion. He's a main event act, who right now is not in the main event. That kind of a thing. Then go that way. You can't keep going back and forth, because as soon as he gets squashed by someone like Kane, it's a reminder again of the size differential. None of these guys are tiny. These kids, look like pubescent little teenagers in the ringing. You know what I mean? It's true. Today's superstars are incredibly young looking. They just are. Half of them don't look like they've been in a real fight in their life. There's no scar. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Everyone takes care of themselves better. It's just this how it works. But there is a disconnect with me when I watch a lot of this.
Yeah.
Well, and Matt, you said the reality. In WWE's booking mind, Finn Balor is a middle-of-the-road guy who's going to get beat by 7-foot Kane and be disposable to get to Kane and Braun. It takes the Demon to be somebody who always wins, and that I said this a long time ago. That's going to be the biggest issue that they're going to have to deal with. Is they seem somewhat committed to protect this Demon character when he brings it out, when the story gets to a point where he needs to reach in and find that demon in him, but otherwise Finn Balor just loses. So that's we've seen alter egos before with Mick Foley. We've seen alter egos with Kane. We've seen alter egos. But this one, the way they've done it so far, is a huge challenge for Finn Balor to overcome. So.
It really is. That guy's in incredible shape. He's an incredible athlete. I love his work. He's another one who's improved when it's time to start turning this steam up on his opponent. He gets aggressive as hell from what he used to work like. And I don't know. If you can do it with AJ, I know Finn's not the same as AJ, but if you can do this with AJ, you can do this with Finn. As far as making it believable. I just watched AJ Styles take it to Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? And I believed AJ had a chance. I said this right after the pay-per-view. Call me a mark, call me whatever you want. I believed AJ had a chance to win that match. I was hoping he would. But when he started throwing in the forearms at the end of Brock, he was laying it in hard. And he looked like he had a chance. Not like an underdog chance, but looked like he belonged in there with the friggin' beef, which is incredible when you think about the size differential. It's all about how these guys protect their size on the smaller aspect of the spectrum. You don't have to be the biggest guy in the room to make your stuff believable. Half my punches look like ass. I had to always show my ass with a lot of my punches early in my career because they were horrible. Whereas somebody was like half my size, I'll give you one right now. Mickie James had better punches than I did when we were in Ohio Valley Wrestling. Her punches looked 1,000 times more believable than mine. She'd cock back, she'd throw a wicked uppercut, it looked good. Mine did not. So therefore, she looked like she could kick someone's ass. I did not, as menacing and big as I was. You see what I'm saying? So, like, as a smaller person, you absolutely can counterbalance the suspension of disbelief that just because you're short doesn't mean you have a fighting chance against someone bigger. So with back to Finn, they've got to do that with him because he has the work to do it. He can do it. But they cannot continue to throw him out there and have him lose to Kane. They're destroyed by Kane and treated like a jobber against Kane.
Yeah, that was weird tonight.
I hate it. I feel like, didn't they just do it with him last week too?
They've been, I feel like it's been a couple times. I mean, they're treating Finn very poorly considering he was the first Universal Champion.
Right.
So tonight, speaking of being treated poorly, Dana Brooke got on TV again. But
that was hilarious. I literally was laughing out loud at this entire thing.
It was a cool move. Asuka did that.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It kind of made sense that it was over so quick. But I would say, man, I mean, my thought before the other girls came out was, is Dana going to get released tomorrow? I mean, this is just it was bad. It was very bad. She'll probably keep her around. She'll probably be the first woman eliminated from the Rumble. But yeah, so after that, Asuka gets confronted by Paige, Mandy, and Sonya. So we see Paige again a second time. Now, do you think that was the right way to go, Matt, and ending that standoff that way?
Yeah. For a second, I was like, something's going to give here. I was predicting, even though they were newly formed together, the trio, that they were going to back down, but Paige would have been the one to pull the other two girls off the apron and kind of be like, nah, we'll do this when we're ready, kind of a thing. Because a heel can always get their heat back. Babyface cannot. And I don't know. I think Asuka has that cocky look on her face that she got away with it tonight, being the one to kind of – she didn't flee the ring, but she got out of there, right? I would have liked to have seen her stood her ground. As crazy as that sounds, 3 versus 1. Why would 3 back down? Because they're heels. That's why. They can do whatever they want. They can act like chicken shit when they need to be. I don't know. I think Asuka pulled her part off when a lot of baby faces would have been buried for getting out of the ring in that situation.
Yeah. Justin, where do you think do you think this builds to anything, or they put a pin in it for now?
I think it could, and it should. As we just said a few minutes ago, they have a lot of time to kill before Rumble, before the next February Raw only pay-per-view. And Matt, I agree with everything Matt said. It was peculiar because obviously you don't, especially Mandy and Sonya, the two that are new to everybody, you don't want them to go right in and get immediately shit canned by Asuka. They're still supposed to be, we're still protecting them. But, Asuka sold it as if like, now I'm wondering, like, okay, like, are they going to try to recruit Asuka? Like, because Asuka kind of like, Asuka just kind of backed off, kind of smiled. So, like, are they going to try to recruit Asuka? Is she going to try to pick her spot to get, so this left me with a lot of good questions that I was intrigued by, which is like, what's the motive? But they didn't hurt anybody. Asuka, as Matt said, Asuka pulled it off very well. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think it's too soon to put them in a feud with each other just because Paige and Asuka, neither of them can lose right now. I think it would be a mistake. So we'll see where it goes. But, yeah, we got time. That's for sure. So this ending segment started as Kane versus Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan hurts his knee, gets counted out. Kane wins. Finn Balor comes out. Finn and Kane get into it. Kane hits Finn with a chair. Finn wins by DQ. Then Braun Strowman comes out and gets payback on Kane. Matt, what did you think of this style of doing these overlapping fights?
Three opponents for Kane? I thought that was a lot to believe that everybody's that invested in Kane. I'm being honest. I hate saying that. Like, this dude's action figure I still have to this day. That's what a huge Kane mark I've been my whole life as a kid. Same with Taker, right? Those are my top 2 dogs, like I keep saying. So I hate saying anything negative about him. I do. And a fellow politician, right? Yeah. But nonetheless, he I don't like seeing it's like it's not the same. This is definitely not the same level of analogy, by the way, what I'm about to say. So let me preface it with that before I begin. But like Dr. J, I remember watching out of his prime play, and it was hard to watch. Michael Jordan come back with the Wizards. He lit it up a few times, did his thing, but he was not the old MJ, right? It's like there's a time when you just got to go and not come back. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Kane, you can always go back to because he's a monster. He's a mask. He's a bodysuit, right? So if he's terribly out of shape, you're not really going to tell. And plus, Glenn always keeps himself in decent shape. I'm just saying, It's a new generation. It's a new era, and they need to stick with it. They don't need to keep going back to these other guys. They just don't.
Maybe you should pass the mask, as it were. You know?
Yeah, Braun. Like, I mean, I keep thinking there's going to be this passing of the torch to the next big man. I thought Big Show did it to Braun, and now Kane's. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what Matt just said right there is, you know, the Braun's the real deal. You know, Roman. You know, they tout the Roman Reigns is the next guy. Roman Reigns is the next Cena. Whatever. That's a debate we could do a lot of. But to me, Braun Strowman's the guy. Braun Strowman's the guy who he's walking through an airport. That's somebody I know is a big deal. Braun Strowman's the guy to where you can bring somebody who never watches into the living room, and they're going to sit there and watch him because he just, you know, and it's not a fee fi fo fum. The guy's athletic. The guy had less than 20 matches in NXT, and not one of them were on TV before they brought him up. This guy has learned quick, and I thought Big Show had passed that big man torch to what Matt just said. So bringing Kane back into the fold was bizarre because it's like you don't need any more rub to give from big guys. And it's not like WWE had a whole lot of great big guys in the first place. You have Taker, you have Kane, you have Big Show. You don't. There's not a lot of big guys that have the credibility to give the rub. So when Big Show did it right, cage spots and everything, and the ring breaking, what more do you need? I mean, so I agree with Matt. I don't know. You know, Kane's always been in shape. He's a smart worker. He's a safe worker. His injury or lack thereof shows it. But he's also always been able to be masked by the supernatural, by the special effects. And I feel like they're moving away from that, and they're like letting him just be a man. Yeah. And that's not doing any favors to a guy who's 47 years old or whatever he is.
Good call, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Tonight, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised after tonight if we don't see him on TV again.
We shouldn't. He backpedaled. Kane backpedaled, and I could see his mouth like saying he begged like he was 1987 Ric Flair.
Seriously.
What the hell was that about?
And streaming in the corner with his neck. He did a great job selling, but it was a different Kane than I've seen. High pitch yelling and everything. If you really listened, it was weird.
Well, if this was his last run, you know, probably better this than Corporate Kane to preserve the legacy.
I hate Corporate Kane. I'm sorry. I hate that, by the way. Sorry.
Braun versus Undertaker.
Great.
I smell it.
I love it.
Matt, we were just saying about Kane showing his age. You don't think Undertaker? I mean, the dead man's not a nickname at this point.
Here's the whole thing. The whole build to it. The whole build to it would be so exciting, right? And he does use the supernatural. And more importantly, he just has to do one match. That's all we need. One match. No, like 3 or 5 matches. No wrestling 3 guys in the main event and still, you know, none of that crap. Just a one Mania match. Taker is so goddamn over as this, you know, the standard bearer, right? As far as big men go, he's the top of them all. He's the best big man of all time, and it's different when we're talking Undertaker now. It just is, and it's again one match, and we're building to it, right? It'll be a great build. I would love to watch it.
Taker's gonna be at Raw 25 in January. They got to start building to a Mania. I'm convinced he's doing another Mania.
Great.
If we start to take our pad of paper and do our fantasy booking of who's going where, it seems that Braun needs a big match. You know, this is Braun Strowman. He needs a big match. He's not going to be shoved in some battle royal. So, you know, we're going to be back in New Orleans where the streak was broken. You have Braun Strowman say, last time you were in New Orleans, your streak was broken. This time in New Orleans, your career and your life's going to be broken.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hey, what about who's Brock? Are we assuming Brock is going against, what's his name?
Roman.
Roman's the rumor.
Why can't that change? It's good, you know. They screwed up Braun versus Brock the first time, by the way.
I agree. Absolutely, I agree. That Braun should have done it right there. You know.
Yeah, he should have. That was so God. There's so many times that he had so much momentum. Do you remember? All right, we never talked, obviously, Justin, but like, remember when he got hit? What was it? He got hit by the ambulance. Was in the ambulance and got crushed. Do you remember when he like walked out of that? That was his Austin 316 moment, and those idiots missed it.
No, you're right. There's a, and I part of this I blame on the too much content. They have too much content to fill, but like they are not as well timed as there's times that, like they need to capitalize and just give it to the guy, and then they do it 5 months later. You know, it's just
at Mania. Roman's going to win it. They're going to give him the belt. Vince is going to come and put a crown on his head. The crowd's going to carry him out onto Bourbon Street, march him down in an impromptu parade, and the coronation of Roman Reigns will be complete.
You know what sucks about that though is Roman is so darn good in the ring. Like I don't think he gets enough credit for it. Any match he's in, he more than does his part. He's not just a plausible main eventer. He's earned his spot. He has. It's just the little things he does along the way that kind of hurts him a little bit. And it's WWE for shoving him down our throat. But we all seem to forget. We asked for him. We asked for him out of the 3 Shield members. Although I've always stated I wanted what's his name out of the Shield. Not Rollins even. Ambrose. Because I like his promos. But we all asked for Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? It is just a horrible job. And again, them mistiming when a guy is white hot with the whole Daniel Bryan situation and missing the boat completely on that.
Yeah.
You know, they lost their next John Cena because of it, because they don't listen to the crowd. And when they do, they're a little bit late to deliver.
I've gone back and said a while. That Rumble a few years ago in Philadelphia that Reigns won, that had the famous package. They brought Bryan back, and Bryan came in like number 15, and he was eliminated by like number 20. I have said over and over, if they would have waited, not advertised Bryan for that Rumble, and brought Bryan back the next night on Raw, so that way Reigns does not have the heat from the fans of he won it when Bryan should have. That could have changed the trajectory of everything.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Maybe one of the best things for Reigns would be they need to just fabricate something backstage and leak it to the internet that Reigns and Vince have a huge blowout. If we find out that happens, then all of a sudden Reigns like, okay, go you go, Roman, you tell him. You know, like that'll be the best thing for him.
That last summer, that made him more interesting and more human when he had the wellness violation. I mean, that was a different shade, you know?
Yeah.
Why? What are you talking about? Why?
Well, because I think it was this idea that went against the preconceived notion that he was just going to be the guy. There was the thing. It was like, oh my God,
dude was taking Adderall.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No, I'm not saying it's bad, but it.
Wait, is that what Adderall pops on their test?
And what's not fair is you can have a prescription for it. Like, I have ADD, but I can't medicate for it, obviously. But some ADD people do need it. My nephew uses it; works great for him. Others can't abuse it. His, for some reason, popped on it. No one can ever give me an honest answer as to what really happened with it. But it was Adderall, to my understanding.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous, and that doesn't make him human. It make it. I don't know. Are you saying because he's not that much of the golden boy because they popped him? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, in the storyline, it put a hiccup in the step and it allowed some story to happen. And remember how excited you were when it was Finn versus Roman for the thing, and we were all, oh my God, Finn won, because everyone thought it was like, okay, they're going to go with Roman. Roman's their guy.
Yeah.
I felt like that helped upset that. It upset the flow of things. And it's all about discovery, and that's what I keep coming back to. There's nothing wrong with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is great in the ring. He can cut a great promo. But, Matt, so what you said is this feeling of it being forced, and so much of what we love, we feel like we discovered. That's why NXT is so goddamn powerful as a tool.
Yes.
With the fans, we feel like we discover these guys on our own. We become fans on our own, and we stick with them through thick and thin as a result.
That's true. He's my guy, nobody else. I don't want anybody else to like this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But week in and week out, when it's this guy, it just, you don't feel that organic sense of build. You know, I mean, little kids love it.
Well, and we can apply a little bit of that to Braun.
Yeah,
I think people can relate and say, look, Braun should have beat Brock by now, and he didn't. And so, I mean, we all know Braun's going to be a champion eventually, but you still kind of feel like, I mean, Braun's getting this babyface pop, which is so bizarre because a guy of his size, it's hard to imagine, like, put sympathy on him, but
possible.
You know, but he's getting this babyface. He's got the Austin effect. He's being positioned as the babyface, having the babyface save. He's not pandering to the audience.
Right.
But, you know, so, like, I think people were rallying behind him. Like, at first, people kind of thought, here's another fee-fi-fum guy who's beating all the jobbers, beat the local guys, blah, 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 blah. They didn't try back. It didn't go anywhere, whatever. But now it's like people are getting behind him like, okay, this guy can actually go. And we'd rather have him than Roman Reigns or him, or even him. You know, people get mad that Brock's, you know, a part-time guy that doesn't defend the title every month. I think people are rallying behind Braun in that regard.
Yep.
And Braun versus Roman, probably my favorite feud in recent memory.
That was good. That was well done. Those, yeah.
Yeah, and it took it up a notch. They worked really well together, and there was something there.
Well, I like Roman versus Cena, that match, not only the build and how real they try to make it, but I like the match because every detractor of John Cena's, his opponent makes him look good. It's Kevin Owens makes him look good, AJ Styles makes him look good, CM Punk makes him look good, and then every opponent of Roman Reigns, it made him look good. Well, okay, when the two of them have to fight together, somebody's got to make the other one look
right.
good. I like it.
You can't. Yeah, they can't use that weak Cena thing that they've always used over the years. That John can't go. John's always. I'll just say John's uncoordinated as hell. He's got 2 left feet. He just is very, very blocky, and how he shoots people off. He tackles you into the ropes as he shoots you off. Like, you have to watch your feet because he'll step on them. But he can go. He can keep up with whoever he's got to keep up with. And he calls everything out there. You could see him visibly talking about it. He's one of the worst about that actually. But he's good though. He's a quarterback in the ring, and he does a good job with his psychology, and he doesn't get enough credit. But Roman even more so. Roman, you can't use that you can't wrestle crap. I don't know why they chant that at Roman Reigns. He absolutely can.
No, absolutely. And so we've got some good stuff. I mean, Roman versus Samoa Joe, I think, will be really, really good. I'm really looking forward to that.
The only thing is we've seen it, right?
Yeah.
But again, I'm happy because Joe is in a good spot, and he's going to be the Intercontinental Champion. That's the only reason I see Roman with this title. Others are going to argue, well, because Roman's working the top of the house shows, they need to make a champion. I see that point too. But this is ultimately, I'm hoping to get Joe the title.
But you know what I hope we get out of this is I hope we get some matches of Joe with the Bar versus the Shield. I think that'll be really good.
You know what? I was going to say, do you remember we just brought him up, Kane before. Daniel Bryan, Kane, and who was the third? Was it Ryback versus the Shield? Do you remember those matches? Do you remember those 6 mans were freaking off the hook? Daniel would get tagged in, and it would blow the roof off the building.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Was Ryback the third one?
Somebody else. I don't know. It was somebody. It was definitely Team Hell No and Ryback. I think it was Ryback.
People in the chat are asking if there's an update on Bailey and Mickey from the ER, tonight.
Are you guys kidding me? Lord.
You need to go, Matt. You need to go on Russo's podcast, Castrating the Marks.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Why do we have Justin on? Justin, question. If Young Bucks showed up, do they not get a pop on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, the city definitely depends on it, though.
Okay. Do you not see their merch in the crowd when you're watching SmackDown or Raw?
You do. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Ha! Roger's argument was you never see it.
No, it's there. I do think that it does. I think the city does matter, though. I mean, like tonight was even an example. Like, there's some cities you can go to, everybody knows what Matt Hardy did prior, and they're up to the broken gimmick. But tonight, was it Knoxville? Is that where they're at? Not everybody, I don't know. I think it does. I think it does matter the city that you're in. But yeah, I mean, they're self-made hustlers, man. That's crazy.
That's one that if that was a Raw After Mania debut or something, I mean, I think the smart crowd would just lose it.
Nut themselves.
Literally.
Here's the thing, though. If you're the Young Bucks, I would almost venture to say that
they lose money.
Well, that potentially, because now all of a sudden you're not controlling all your merch. You're not, I say this about Dolph Ziggler all the time. People talk about Dolph, there's some guys like Dolph Ziggler who could leave the WWE right now. He'd have control of his booking fee, all of his flights and hotels paid for. He controls all of his merch. He's in the main event. He's working new guys. Depending on what guarantee they can negotiate, they might lose money. And B, if you're the Young Bucks, I'd almost wonder, are you better off just being the golden boys of the NXT brand and staying there? Because once you go to Raw or SmackDown, where it's a different structure of who's in charge and it's a different game, I don't know. I think if I'm the Young Bucks, but the problem is I don't know if WWE would negotiate the guaranteed money the Young Bucks would need and only use them on NXT.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way. Those guys are making like $50,000 a year or something like that. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, I could see with being the Elite being what it is, I could see if someone wanted to start a promotion and do television or streaming. I mean, they would be probably the people to build it around, if they wanted to do something new when their contracts expired. Well, I'm saying that when their contracts are up with New Japan and Ring of Honor, I'm saying let's say there's a modern day Ted Turner that comes along and wants to start a wrestling promotion, the Young Bucks are two guys, you could build a promotion around them,
Yep.
Yeah.
I heard Matt Morgan's funding a promotion. He's going to get one started.
There you go. So Matt, your final thoughts on tonight's Raw?
Again, I give it a C. It was all over the place. I love and everything with Paige. I thought hit well tonight. A little quick to the whole Asuka part of the storyline. But then again, if they're there to be jumping people, and Asuka's got to come up sooner or later, right? So, it was all over the place. Some of the stuff was good, like I said, with Paige. Stuff with Joe. Stuff with Roman was good. Am I missing anything? I mean, that's really it. It's just, again, just a lot of crap. I hate saying that, It's not like a freaking hater. I'm not trying to be. I wasn't entertained by it. And if I didn't have to do the show, I would not have watched it. I would have fast-forwarded to see my favorite guys, and that would have been it.
But you got to fast-forward the commercials at least tonight.
I did, because my little trick, Justin, I wait to watch Raw at, what is it, like 8:50, 9 o'clock-ish, and you can fast-forward through all the commercials that way. And you end up being like 2 minutes late for when they give you the link to this show, but you get to watch the whole show and fast-forward, the commercials and fast-forward.
Well, update tonight, Domino's, no commercials at all. You pizza droppers just abuse the carryout insurance. Domino's can't afford to advertise on Raw anymore. So there you have it. Cool. So Matt, what do you want to plug before we take it home here?
Ooh, pressure. Nothing this week, guys. Check out 5% Nutrition at it's 5percentnutrition.com for all your supplement, pre-workout, post-workout, mid-workout supplements. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at BP Matt Morgan. Facebook, you want to follow along what I'm doing as commissioner here in the city of Longwood. It's all what my Facebook page is about. That's Matt Morgan for Longwood. Matt Morgan for Longwood. And I know I'm forgetting something, but oh well.
And Justin, where can everyone find you on the internet?
At Justin LaBar on Twitter. And if you need any tickets, whether it's WWE or whether it's concerts, ball games, what have you, I encourage you to go to ticketkingonline.com. Use the code LaBarFan. Get 15% off your ticket purchase. Whether it's, again, wrestling, concerts, ball games, anything, theater, they got it. TicketKingOnline.com. Use the code LaBarFan, and if you do a purchase in the month of December, you'll get a personal phone call from me.
Awesome, guys. Well, I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and we'll be back here Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern, to talk about SmackDown Live, see what happens over there in the build-up to Clash of the Champions. We'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care, everyone.